Welcome to the Marché du Film. We are gathered here for the Cannes XR Development Showcase. This is a pitching session with 4 projects that imagine building and rebuilding the world we live in. They're all sort of takes on utopia and dystopia and the interesting space that you can navigate between those 2 extremes. I'm going to tell you really quickly a little bit about who I am and what Kaleidoscope is and what we were hoping to achieve with this showcase. So I'm René. I'm the founder and CEO of Kaleidoscope. And what we do at Kaleidoscope is we allow our members and our community to pool their resources to support artists with grants, with events, and with networking. And the guiding force for all of these different things is helping artists raise money for projects. Because at the end of the day, that's the hardest thing for artists to do. It's the thing that they struggle with the most. So we've been doing this for a number of years. We're pretty close to actually 4,000 members now. We've got well over 1,000 projects, and the artists in our community have raised over $30 million for projects. And I think that's significant because it proves that there is money out there, even in this climate, for creators to raise money and to produce projects of substance. And certainly, there's more headwinds now, but there is still money to be raised. There is still funding happening. One thing that we've done to try to put money in the hands of artists directly is we've recently spun up a new product called Artist Grants. What we do is we have a free membership to join Kaleidoscope, but we also have several paid membership tiers. And what we do with that money is we pool it, and each month we award artist grants on different topics. And we've got 6 artist grants that are live right now. If you are a creator looking for $1,000 to $5,000 in sort of seed funding or completion funding, please do submit. If you're part of the industry and you are passionate about a particular topic or genre of projects, please consider supporting one of those grants. We also do a lot of events, and this is a prime example of why we are here right now. Is events are actually a really great way to help artists raise money, because they give artists some exposure. They help industry identify projects that are of a really high caliber. And it's that matching function between creator and people in the industry who are in a position to fund or distribute or curate their work. So this event, the Dev Showcase, is one of a series of events that we've held over the last 5 years. And that has resulted in a lot of really fantastic projects receiving funding, distribution, festival premieres, etc. And then finally, networking is kind of the backbone of everything that we do. We think that this is a relationship-based business, and participating in a community like Kaleidoscope is a great way to build those relationships and to build those friendships. Because that's, at the end of the day, how projects end up getting made, is just a group of people who care about a particular type of work, who share the same dream and band together to get it done. Again, I'm really excited about the work that we're going to be presenting today. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the projects that are presenting, and then I'll hand it over to the artists themselves. So first up is going to be Flood. Ben is going to be presenting a really beautiful project that involves immersive theater, and really interested to see how this project is adapting to this new pandemic world that we live in. Then we've got The Space Between Us, a beautiful project that is exploring this very interesting long-distance relationship, and I'll let the artists go into more detail. Tangible Utopias, which is, again, a vision for the future that is one that I want more people to be spending time and energy on, which is envisioning how can things be if we make good decisions. How might we live together in a way that isn't so dark? I think we're all feeling very much like these are dark days, and I think it's really healthy and essential for artists to dream up potential futures that are places we'd actually want to live. And then Ahoy, which is a beautiful animated musical project, very personal narrative that imagines a small island nation rebuilding itself after environmental collapse. So I am going to hand it over to the first team, Flood, Ben. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen and take it away?
See if I can successfully share my screen. That would be a good start.
You can do it, man. I know you can.
And then, oh, I need to move this. There we go. Present.
Success.
Brilliant. Well, we got there. That's a good start. Okay. Right. Got a lot to get through, so I will be as quick as I can. Hello, I'm Ben from Megaverse. We are a Sheffield-based interactive content studio, and we're currently working on a range of different XR theatre projects and tools. And one of those flagship projects is Flood. Flood was originally a stage play. It was written by Rory Malarkey for the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain, and it was performed in Hong Kong. We're now adapting the piece to be this XR platform native experience directed by Joel Scott of Punch Drunk and featuring some of Britain's best young actors. So just to give you a brief overview before we dive into it, it's a location-based experience with live motion captured actors and audience interaction. It's set in 2025 during this apocalyptic climate event in this beautifully bleak virtual world where the audience work together with the cast and they go on this quest to find dry land. The characters are also physically there with you in the space throughout the story, and you're faced basically with a series of moral dilemmas and challenges as you go through. Our project partners are the National Youth Theatre. So Joe, if you're there, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Yes, hello. Thanks, Ben. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe. I'm the head of digital at National Youth Theatre. And we've been working with Ben and Megaverse in XR for a number of years now. Last year, we staged a live theatre production of Frankenstein and got 5,000 audience members in VR headsets over a month. And yeah, we're training young talent in digital storytelling, and they're very excited about it. So Flood is the next big project that we're working together on. It's one of a series of environmental commissions, and we asked our members, we've got 5,000 11 to 25-year-olds around the UK, what do you care about most? And the environment is the issue they most want us to make art about. Hence a series of large-scale productions, think Secret Cinema, Punch Drunk, hundreds of cast members. And particularly, I think, with COVID in mind, we thought, what's the next evolution of that? And an XR adaptation of our stage play of Flood feels like a very exciting next step to allow us to reach audiences, not just in the UK, but around the globe, not just in the room, but wherever they are, in their bedrooms at home. And we're working with our young improvisation talent to create a really interactive experience. And, you know, lots of household names, Daniel Craig, Helen Mirren, Daniel Day-Lewis started at National Youth Theatre. And we think the next generation of talent like that should be digitally telling stories through this kind of format. We're really lucky to be working with the leading XR immersive specialist, Maximilian Delort, to adapt Flood. And yeah, I'm going to hand back to Ben now.
I mean, yeah, our aim is to create a truly unique night out that really like enhances the way we experience theatre. Oh, that's another one from NYT. Basically, I'll just talk through a bit about how the format works. So you and your friends, you're given like virtual reality headsets and trackers, and you're led into, let's call it a holodeck kind of environment where you're free to roam and explore the set, kind of like a Punch Drunk sort of show. The actors appear as these detailed watery characters, and the audience appear as more kind of simplified watery figures. We think it's really important in a location-based kind of experience that the users are acknowledged in the world to give them the confidence to freely navigate through the experience. I'll just kind of show you some of the concept art that we've got for it at the moment. In this first level, this is level 1, you're dropped into this abandoned town on the brink of collapse, and it's just started raining after years of drought. And then the joy quickly turns to fear, the water rises, and the audience's courage is tested. So each level, there's a different theme that's testing the audience, and they're engulfed by this huge tidal wave, a tsunami, a flood. Then they kind of go on this mission towards a lighthouse, and it's about this quest to find dry land. And they've got another choice to make in there. Then they've got to get this boat floating again, and this is kind of, so we are going to have some physical props in the thing, so which will be positionally tracked. So they've got to get a load of boxes off the boat to try and get it floating again. And they're also given each audience member is going to have a 3D printed torch, because you can kind of see from the concept art, all the environments are quite dimly lit. So they're going to have this torch to navigate around the experience. And then finally, the boat starts to sink, and you've got to take a leap of faith and walk on water to exit the world of flood. So that's kind of a little bit about, how it will work. Joe, do you want to talk next about that?
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, like elements of narrative, but really interactive, exciting, quest, adventure, gameplay, teamwork. We're building something that we think is going to be really unique experience. Where we are at the moment is we've got an early stage prototype that serves as a sort of visual benchmark. We were really pleased to be commissioned by Creative XR, which is funded by Digital Catapult and Arts Council England last year, to develop that. And we're now raising funds for the next phase. And we're going to be developing throughout the year with an aim of premiering in summer 2021. We've got some great conversations going. Obviously, we're living in an interesting world, but we're talking to Dubai Expo 2021, Coventry City of Culture, and we've got a great partner in Sheffield's Kaleidoscope, which is funded by the Barclays Eagle Lab. But we're interested in talking to producing partners, potential venues and technology partners. And we think Flood can really grow and grow, and we're not limiting it to one format or one type of experience. So if you're interested in the chat, we'd love to hear from you.
Just to bring up, the elephant in the room, which is, obviously we're really thinking about mitigating risks for COVID. And so we've been kind of, really thinking about how to mitigate those circumstances. So clean box technology. We're also using anti-latency tracking techs, which means we can have really large tracked spaces, so we can plan for kind of socially distancing if we need to. So we've already had support from the Arts Council, Creative XR, National Youth Theatre and Curious Arts. And we've also participated in the Climate Showcase for the Electric Dreams Festival earlier this year in Australia. We've currently raised $100,000 in cash and a further 90K in kind for the development phase. And now we're seeking a further 500K investment to complete the full production. So just to round up quickly, I know I'm running slightly over, so I'll be quick. Floods environmental themes make it relevant today, as it shows a dystopian future where society failed to prevent irreparable damage due to climate change. We also find it poignant that it's youth actors who are telling the story, aware that our actions today will have a direct impact on their future. So if you'd like to find out more or get involved, then just email us or meet us afterwards, and that's our email address. So thanks very much.
Well done. Thank you, Ben. Such a beautiful project, and the team you've put together is phenomenal. All right, so now is when we open it up to our illustrious panel of decision makers. Anyone who has feedback, questions, guidance they want to offer, jump in now. I see Colm. Hi, Colm.
Hey, René. Thanks, guys, for the presentation. I'm Colm from Oculus. I just had two quick questions. I may have missed this, but what is the running time of the piece, and in broad terms? And in your mind, how portable is the LB experience you're building to an in-home version, and what would the major challenges be in making that shift?
Sure. Well, firstly, for the kind of location-based experience, it's, so 45 minutes runtime, which includes onboarding and offboarding. We've deliberately made the set super lightweight as well. So it's more of this holodeck thing, but there will be interactive props. But we are also really starting to think about ways in which we can kind of open it out. So it's not maybe necessarily just the location-based experience, but having remote users being able to tune in as well. And also we've had quite serious conversations about maybe there's a way where the actors could also have headsets on and controllers, and we do a version that is completely remote as well. So I mean, as a theatre makers, we're really pushing to try and do the location-based thing, because that's really exciting to us. But we are definitely looking into other ways of trying to get flood out there as well.
Yeah, and we think the other different versions would complement the live. We don't see it as like it just has to be live alone. I think the bigger the universe of the story gets, the better for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And and as the technology kind of improves as well, we were originally thinking about backpacks and headsets, but you know, if we can stream this as well, then that's something that we'd love to do and make it as lightweight as possible. And yeah.
Dig it. Any other questions, thoughts from decision makers? Jump in. You don't have to. I see Amy. I saw you first, Amy, if you want to go. Or
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy from Unity. Beautiful presentation. I really like the youth activists and the youth tie into the message. I think that that's a really wise decision. So that's really well done. My question sort of riffs on that is, because it's considered an environmental based piece, I'm wondering what either the impact narrative is within the piece, if there's a specific message or call to action, and if not, what the sort of tie-in with environment might be in terms of the message throughout the story.
Joe, do you want to? Yeah.
Sure. We've been working with a university partner in the UK, the University of Hull, who are specialists in like climate-related flooding. So we've been looking at modeling, like in the experience, flooding could represent a real future prediction of how things are going to flood. So we think there's like an educational message to take away, but that the experience should be fun and exciting and adventurous as a standalone piece as well. And I think this idea of being immersed underwater and being in a town that's flooded sort of speaks for itself a little bit as well, in terms of that haunting future. And as young people take up activism, that it can be both entertaining and educational at the same time.
I think as well, it's a conversation starter. So, you know, I think we'd be looking into, in terms of education, you know, maybe there's kind of workshop kind of packages around it that we could sort of deliver. That's, so, you know, flood's the kind of thing that you watch first, and then it kind of gets the ball rolling with the conversation, I think.
We have time for one more quick question if any decision maker wants to jump in. Hi, John. Good to see
René.
you.
Yeah, great to see you. I was wondering about the remote participation, remote viewing, and you know, how you envision that working. I know Colin was teeing it up there, but I'm just curious because I was thinking about organizations that I've been working with that are climate change focused, maybe doing some physical events, and curious if their participants can participate, if you will. So just curious what that vision is there.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of like this. I mean, we've definitely always been thinking about this more from an LBE point of view to start with, but I think more recently, because of COVID, we've started to really, think about how this can be really opened up. I mean, one way is through the Oculus platform, where it would be ticketed events, where we'd still have the live actors, but you would have to, you would log in at a specific time and then be part of that performance. So it would be through like the Oculus store or something like that. But I think at the moment as well, we're quite platform agnostic, and we're still the next stage of development. We're applying. We've got a French producer that we're working with as well, and we're applying for CNC funding in October. So I think that next stage of development will maybe help shape and define exactly what the model is that we go with. So I think it's really important to have all these conversations now to really help shape the direction of it.
And I think on that issue of climate, it is a global issue, and we're really excited about the idea of a group of performers in the UK, putting on the show with a group of young people from Hong Kong or Australia or the US, and actually that idea of collaboration across borders and performers in one place, audience in another, or from all over the world is really exciting.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for working on this project and continuing to push the boulder up the mountain. Every project feels like a task. What's the Greek guy? Sisyphus, the boulder guy. It's like that. Sisyphean. I was gonna try, but I thought I'd let someone smarter than me come in with the real word. Next up, we have the space between us. Who's going to be leading on the presentation for that? Is that going to be Nadia?
Will.
All right,
Yes.
Nadia. Welcome, Nadia. How are you doing?
Thank you. Great. Nice to see you and to see again some of the people that I was lucky to meet today. Okay, let's go then.
Yeah, go ahead and share that screen. And if there's any more questions for any of these artists, yeah, please do meet them in the Museum of Other Realities directly after this.
All right. Do you see my notes, or is that full screen?
It's full screen. It looks perfect. We
Perfect.
don't see your notes.
Great. It has happened today. All right. So my name is Nadia Lipsik, and I'm the experience director of this experience, which is produced by Evil Doghouse Interactive. We're based in Norway. So the space between us is a VR role-playing adventure for 2 players. The 2 players embody 2 siblings that get separated. One is shipped to an exoplanet while the other one stays on Earth in a flooded, that's the transition, in a flooded Oslo. So our game is structured in 3 episodes of 35 minutes, which span the life of the characters from their early teens to their mature adulthood. For some context, it's been predicted that in 70 years, the city center of Oslo will be entirely flooded. In our prototype, we're representing this vision. So as you can see up, there is a picture of the Opera House of Oslo, and further down how it is likely to look like in 70 years. We're aware that this might be the least concerning of our environmental worries, and our game is not about saving the world or preventing disasters. What we want is to give the players the opportunity to test different means to cope with our global crisis. We are offering them a series of different choices so they can experiment different stances. To give you a taste of the experience, I can show you a very, very short trailer of our prototype.
Your parents saw Oslo getting flooded and told you about a time when the opera house looked like a crystal rock rising out of the water. The spaceship that once brought you here is a ruin now, but it is being reconstructed bit by bit. Among the pioneers, some wonder if you shouldn't just give up and use the resources to build a new world. When you expected the least, Kim becomes visible to you, busy working on the red planet. Despite being as far away from each other as it is possible to be, you can still connect. What unites you is more than a blood bond, so powerful that it allows you to cheat the distance. If you could just touch each other's hand.
Nick, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But where are we?
Oh, I think we're dreaming again.
All right, some explanations now. So each on their own planet, the players will play a series of narrative interactive scenes, only able to briefly glimpse at one another through windows. However, when they touch hands, they are reunited in the world of dreams, where they are 4 other children playing together and seeking advice from one another. Our gameplay is a bit similar to the great indie game What Remains of Edith Finch, as it is a collection of scenes with a light gameplay or mini-games that are meant to help the players engage emotionally with their environment. It is really about creating the narration as opposed to fulfilling a task. Other inspirations are the book The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin that opposes two very different planets, both in terms of environment and in terms of societal struggles. We are also inspired by the artwork of Moebius, by the magical nature of Miyazaki, and by the potentialities in terms of role-playing and social games that social VR are offering us. Oops. As our characters grow older, their priorities change, but they are always offered the possibility to also change their stance. For instance, in one scene of the first act, as a teen, you can decide to go to the Neon Mall and play Hot or Not, or you can spend your time scavenging the algae that has accumulated around the former harbor. Later in life, in the third act, you can keep on playing that construction game that rewards you with cryptocurrency, or you can get closer to the climate resistance. Each scene has two different outcomes that you will discuss with your sibling in your dreams of endless fields, where you are connecting with one another, playing with tokens from your memories and fragments of your two planets. Our teams was created around this project, and it is made of accomplished professionals from different fields. We have people who have been working as cinema producers, as architects for augmented reality. We have game developers, people coming from experience design in immersive theater and live action role-playing game. Where we are at now is we're finalizing our development budget. We're still putting some resources in finishing up the narrative, which is so crucial to us. And we are on the look for more partners and co-producers. So please get in touch.
Brilliant, well done. One of the things I really love about my gig running Kaleidoscope is that I get to see projects evolve over time. And I'm always so impressed by artists and teams that continue to make solid progress. And this project definitely falls in that category. You guys have taken this project so far. Feedback, questions from the decision makers. Any hands, or you can just jump in. Anything wasn't clear? Any question marks?
Platform, sorry, again, I apologize if I missed it, but I assume 6
distribution plans.
PC?
Distribution plans.
Yes.
Sorry, Joanna.
Distribution plan. We're still in development, and the distribution is definitely not settled, but we're probably aiming for Steam. It's an online experience first and foremost, but it's possible that according to who we partner with, we might make it more site specific.
So online first and foremost, what do you mean by that? Like an online website? That's normally what I think of when I mean online.
I mean distributed on Steam or perhaps the Oculus Store, and relying on the system of matchmaking for the two players.
Understood. Got it. Yeah, yeah, so networked.
Right.
Other thoughts, feedback, words of encouragement? Well, I thought the project is in a really good state. I very much encourage folks to dig a little deeper on this one and get to know the team behind it, because they're really phenomenal. Thank you so much for the presentation. And
thank you.
Next up, we have Tangible Utopias. Take it away, Iona.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so just a second. All right. Present. All right. So hello, everyone. I hope you can see it well and hear it well. So I'm super delighted to bring to your attention today Tangible Utopias, which is our most recent sole project so far. So my name is Ioana Mischie. I am a Romanian-born transmedia artist and futurist. And ever since I was a kid, I really loved to imagine the future of the world around me. I guess like every kid almost, but I took it one step further. So I'm here to present you this VR franchise, as we love to call it. It's an open world. It's both exploratory and interactive. And if you want a reference just to have it in our minds, we could refer to Journey, the beautiful exploratory game that is also in our minds. So Tangible Utopias is this collection of long-term future cities as inspired by the visions of children worldwide. So just to get a sense of the process behind the project, up until now we have interviewed hundreds of children and we have archived their visions through documentary and written form. And then we went to stage 2, which is this transdisciplinary process where we collaborate with architects and sociologists and anthropologists. And then we navigate towards the stage 3, where we actually bring those ideas into 3D buildings. And these 3D buildings are the kind of the characters of our virtual reality piece. So one thing I have encountered during this kind of research process, a lot of kids and adults, they have a really hard dilemma when designing future cities. And the biggest question is how much technology and how much nature should we include in a future city in such a way that it's super enjoyable? So basically taking this dilemma further, we integrated it into the user design experience. So our experience has mostly 3 chapters. At first, you enter into these multiple future cities. You choose your own tangible utopia. You are invited to inhabit it. And then you are invited to basically customize the amount of technology, like the drones that you are seeing all around, or the amount of nature that you see all around. And towards the end, you can export a postcard from that specific future, and you can also join the community of tangible utopists on social media. So I'm just going to show you the trailer we have so far. Timeline-wise, right now we have the first 3 worlds in the VR prototype, but they are not interactive yet. So our goal is to have 7 interactive future cities by the end of 2020. And in the future, we plan to expand and to bring all the visions that we will archive to life. So it's an ever-expanding journey, ideally. Budget-wise, we have secured so far 40,000 from my home country, Romania. We have won a national contest. But our goal is to raise $200,000 more that would basically allow us to build 5 interactive future cities. Our budget is modular, so we basically budget per interactive future city. So team-wise, right now we have a joint venture of 3 Romanian companies. Each of them is kind of excellent in what they do. So we do have festival selections already in the mix, but we are strongly hoping that this project will go even further. So I guess I would close by saying that we would be the happiest to make a joint venture with you all, and I'm kindly inviting you to join our premise if you love it. And this is my contact information. So if you will have the time to reach out, I would be happy to follow up. Thank you so much.
Great job. Well done. Bravo. Questions, feedback, thoughts from the decision makers. Anyone raise their hand or just jump in? Amy, I see.
Yeah, I have a question. I have two questions, but I won't take up too much time. I'm just, at the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that you did research with sociologists and anthropologists, and I'm curious as to what that research entailed and then what we see as a result in the actual project from that research.
Yeah, so basically it's mostly we consulted sociologists and anthropologists in terms of how to reach kids from, let's say, marginalized categories. So this was our consultation. But regarding the sketches themselves, we mostly collaborated for this particular trailer with architects. So we had this transdisciplinary team with architects, filmmakers, storytellers, and concept artists. For the future of the project, we want to have kind of a constant transdisciplinary team, so that, for example, ideally we would expand on in more countries, and we would be able to invite kids from Asia, Africa, from the States, and we would be able to have these balanced cultures into the VR experience. This would be the sociologists and anthropologists kind of input to kind of help us grasp as many voices as possible into a condensed user experience.
Really beautiful. It's a beautiful project.
Thank you so
and
much.
The art is beautiful.
You should definitely check out the prototype they have in the museum. It's really quite spectacular. Any other thoughts, suggestions? Hi, Joel.
Hey, I have a question. Is there any element of how it's created in terms, is there any kind of roadmap of like it being procedural, or like does the world kind of self-populate around rules, or is it all just 3D modeled and it's kind of a fixed set each time you build another one? Or
so our dream right now is to make it procedural. Yeah, to make it kind of generative design. So we kind of build up, let's say, a neighborhood from that future world, and then through coding, we kind of expand on it. Another thing that we actually clarified today throughout the meetings, so we have basically in the experience, we have a version of the city, but the user can customize it a lot. So the user can kind of choose the assets that populate that world. So you can either populate it with like a bunch of drones, let's say, or a murmuration of birds, you know, and you could play with that.
What are those customization tools? Like, is it like, what's the user experience? Is it more like I'm a designer and I'm making design choices, or am I a kid and I'm playing, and like, am I painting birds, or am I choosing birds on a menu?
You're choosing on a menu, more like that. Like initially, we also took into consideration a form of EEG input, so that based on your concentration level, you could either make that world more technologized or more nature driven. But right now we have mixed feelings about the EEG input, so we might just have like more accessible kind of input mechanisms. And so you are a designer, but you kind of polish that tangible utopia. You make it customized to fit your own taste, but you cannot change it completely. Like you cannot like destroy the buildings or something like that.
Is there like a creative tool set? Like if I want to add a new building, is that too far outside of scope? Or
right now we don't have that possibility to add buildings, but we might take it into consideration. I have to discuss with the developers, but yeah, you can just personalize through assets and like not the full city. Yeah.
So it sounds more like sort of like slider design, where you have like a number of different vectors you can sort of turn up or turn down, and that's how you make changes.
Yeah, kind of. And I guess the whole purpose of this is to kind of make you understand as a user that you carry with you a lot of responsibility on how your choices impact the cities you live in. So of course, it applies to tangible utopias, but it also applies to real life when you escape the experience. And ideally, we would make people more aware of their own choices and powers. And ideally, it would lead to more balanced future cities in reality. Ideally, decision makers will kind of be inspired by this kind of world and migrate towards them slowly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. Oh, Joel's got a follow-up.
One last question. Has there been any discussion of these being at all portable, in the sense of like, if I customize this city, can I use it? Like, could I API with VR chat? Like, could I connect it to other utilities in my daily VR usage life?
So two things on this front. We are just talking about it, so we don't have it all aligned, but our ideal would be to design it as a social experience at some point, so that people could negotiate their choices in groups and kind of customize tangible utopias collectively. And the other point is basically we want to create this library of customized tangible utopias. So that would be a beautiful step to kind of see how everyone customized every single world. But right now we are still debating it.
I do think that's the most interesting, one of the most interesting things you said is the idea of having to like negotiate that with a group, because that's much more analogous to real world stuff, right? You know, you have to live in a city with other people and you have to decide collectively what you're going to do. So I think that would be fascinating. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Our final project in this pitching session is Ahoy. Daniel, are you there, my friend?
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna share the screen. All right, can you all see that okay?
Not yet, but
Your desktop.
There you go. This looks promising.
All right.
Yes, it's nice and big.
Awesome, awesome. Sweet. So thank you all so much for being here. My name is Dan, and with Ochre Workshop, we're in Southern California, and we tell stories that encourage people to go on adventures together. So Ahoy is a music-driven augmented reality short story where an inventor sends a hologram invitation to the one person who might be able to repair the broken island nation of Ochre. We're framing it like the audience is the accidental recipient of this invitation, and we want them to feel like this place, Ochre, might actually exist. And through the magic of AR, we get an access point into that world. The tone is a mix between the romance and mystery of Lost with the sometimes goofy idealism of Camelot. It's inspired by the Channel Islands off of Los Angeles all the way up to Santa Barbara. Every year, my family would meet my grandparents at the most popular island. It's called Santa Catalina. And it's this time capsule mixing ocean research, Western roundups, and old Hollywood. It's a place where time stops and where whatever you're dealing with, it seems to kind of get lighter. It's a sacred place. And so every time we'd go, my little brother and we'd go a couple days early and explore the island. And we've been everywhere from the highest hills down to underwater. And so through this exploring, we started bringing other friends on adventure trips, and we got to thinking, what if we could bring even more people on these adventures? And what were the other 7 islands that were nearby? Like we knew nothing about them. So we set out to create this kind of musical mythology around the Channel Islands. So that brings us to Ahoy. It's a musical experience where we follow our character on a tour of this broken island. And through the holograms that he sees, we see how it can be repaired. And we want guests to come away feeling hungry to work towards restoration in themselves and the natural world. And in addition to protecting that, we could learn how to repair what's broken. So guests can walk around as we follow the character through the story. The scenery scales and pans around the island in a set bounding area. We zoom in close to the character during important story moments and expand away when we're shown grand vistas. In addition, we're using positional audio and big bright holograms to cue people where to pay attention. Through much of the experience, the character's pretty small on screen, making it a little bit difficult to see his facial expressions. So the color of his glasses indicate the emotions that he's feeling. So the memories that he's experiencing when there was a disaster on his island were in red, and then his dreams about the future are in blue. We want to distribute this project in app stores, and then we also want to do kind of a touring experience we're calling Ochre Outpost, where families and friends can experience it together once it's safe, of course. And so we've raised $10,000. We put that towards a pre-production and building a prototype. And then our production goal is $50,000 to complete interactive development and implement a multi-user shared experience, and then record musicians for Dolby Atmos mixing and mastering. Then promotion goal, $40,000 for the Ochre Outpost tour, interactive installation, and then to set up AR demo, devices, travel, and all of that. So feel free to, if you have any questions, reach out. And let's see, I guess we have enough time. I have about a 1-minute demo of the very intro of the build. So
I read your research, you made it rain, but I have questions, maybe you can explain. Though dust and ashes cover my land, there's still some magic, maybe you'd understand. I feel a ladder here, broken gravity, I run up the hills. They don't tire me, this needs peer review, and you just gotta see it too. Meet me at night, you can flatter me in strawberry light. Come and find me on the fourth parallel. Until then I hope this finds you soon, finds you well.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.
Great presentation. All right. Thoughts, feedback, words of encouragement.
Daniel, I'm curious whether the background plates you're using are going to be animated, or is the plan for those to be stills, or how are you thinking about blending the CG and the live action?
Yeah, so the live action is just to demonstrate how people would experience. As you can see there, it's supposed to take place at night, and I filmed the prototype during the day, so it feels kind of off. And so we're thinking maybe doing something where you just kind of tint, do some post-processing to the live video feed that your phone would generate, or maybe even just get rid of the video feed completely and make it a fully 3D world where your phone is just a window to it. It's not like it's an object placed in your scene. So have some testing to do there.
Jump in.
I just want to, that was a really lovely presentation. I especially really enjoyed your personal connection to the story at the beginning. That really draws you in as someone who's listening to a pitch. So I thought that was very well done. My question to you, well, you just answered it about the mobile app, but I'm wondering what, in terms of the user journey, you mentioned that you want audiences to think about to repair what's broken. And I'm just wondering, sort of at the end, the user journey, like what is the outcome of the story at the end for audiences to be provoked to think about repairing what's broken?
Yeah, so through the experience, it's this kind of, it takes place on, you know how that every summer it just feels like there's one day that's extra summery. And so that night he's walking around kind of dreaming of what this place could be. And he's walking around with the hologram version of that scientist. And at the very end of the experience, the sun rises and all the holograms disappear, and he's left with just this kind of brokenness. And sorry, this takes a little bit more explanation. There's a few more setups, but in the end, it's kind of like, okay, well, I don't know how this is going to end up, but all I have right now is like, I can clean up this section and I can plant this here. And yeah, I just want people to feel like they are worth being restored, or they have agency over their imagination, or they can change their own little tiny section of the world. So it's not so much of a I don't know what. Yeah, it's more. I hope that if I try and make it personal enough, people will be able to find that little section in their own lives too. So I don't know how that would work though.
Mm-hmm.
And I should jump in and just say that one of the things that attracted me to this is that it's an incredibly, like, everything about this project is like Daniel. Like, it's him doing the music, it's him doing the animation, it's like his love for the Channel Islands. It's a very personal project, which I always enjoy. I think that's a good place to come from for any artist. Any other thoughts or feedback from the group?
One quick question. You describe it as music driven, and I saw a little bit more of that in the trailer, kind of what that is, but does that continue how it was in the trailer throughout the rest of the project, or are there other ways that music drives the story throughout?
Yeah, so it's all set to music. So the way the story expands is, so you're left with you as the audience. You only have to be around that kind of tabletop size to play it. But when the music kind of grows, the whole island might shrink so you could see where the character's walking, and then it might zoom in again on another place. But everything's kind of timed with the music. It's not procedural, and it's not interactive yet, but I'd love for there to be some like tiny interactions. Like, I guess you could do front and back camera. So maybe if you smile as an audience, maybe a tree would do something. So I'm looking for little tricks, like little tiny things that'll just make people smile.
Dig it. Well, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, again, I really am impressed with how far you've taken this project in the short time I've gotten to know you. So thank you for everyone who's tuned in the audience, as well as all our decision makers. Please join us now back in the museum while we hang out in virtual reality and get to see the prototypes of these projects. A lot of them are, super far along and have like fully realized work. Some of them are in very early stages, but all of them are worth your time. So please come by and check it out and talk to the artists more. Thank you again. And I look forward to doing 2 more of these sessions tomorrow, and then 2 more on Friday. A lot of great projects coming up. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.